everyone, it's Amber here and welcome to another video. This time I'm doing my first ever impression video. So I decided to kind of go through my shelves and look at all these series that I only have the first volume of and I haven't gotten around to actually reading them. And so this one happens to be one of those series. So I have volume number 1 of Ghostly Things. So I've decided to basically split this up into a little bit of an overview without spoilers per se, and then the later portion will contain a little bit of spoilers for the first 5 chapters, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 6. So basically, this story kind of gives me really similar vibes to the Demon Prince in the Mochi House, except the Demon Prince is more of a shoujo in the sense that it's definitely got love interests, kind of got to love multiple people. Versus this one seems to be very influenced by spirits and things like that. At least according to this first volume, there hasn't really been a love interest brought in. It's mainly just like every chapter is about a different spirit. So if you definitely are a type of person that likes this type of like Japanese folklore, a lot of spirits, then this story right off the bat would be for you because it's definitely heavily influenced. I would say that mainly except with this first volume, which is all I'm going on because I haven't read any more, it's like the plot point is heavily influenced by these spirits, and there's one other plot point besides that. So the story does feel a little bit one-dimensional, at least from the first volume. But this is the main character, which is Yachijo, which I probably said terribly, and then her cute little cat, which is Fuku-chan. And honestly, even though the cat really doesn't speak, I feel like I may like the cat more than the main character. And then I'm going to say, like, if you're worried about a little bit of spoilers for the first volume, then this is where it will probably begin as I go a little bit deeper. So the house is full of research from the previous people that inhabited it because he was studying all the spirits there and he really seemed to genuinely care about the spirits. And so he recorded everything about the spirits, and the whole entire house or this mansion is literally filled from like floor to the roof with all of his research, pictures of the spirits inhabiting the house, and all that stuff. So in about the 3rd chapter, it's kind, and actually in the first one too, but it goes a little bit deeper in the 3rd one. It's kind of introduced that the main character, her father disappeared and has been gone for a long time because he's researching the spirits. And then her mother's also disappeared. So in this 3rd chapter, she's trying to look for this book, which is called the Book of the Dead. And her dad tells her that if she wants to find it, she needs to kind of basically go to this mansion. And if they find the Book of the Dead, then they can get answers to where her mother disappeared to. One of the main characters, or at least it is from this volume, would be one of the spirits, which is named Moro. And he is a caretaker of the crossing and also the envoy of the spirit realm. So basically it's kind of thrown out there in about the 5th chapter that he's actually not allowed in the spirit realm, but what his job is like all of these spirits that are like on the edge of basically dying per se, he helps them cross over into the other realm. And so the main character is kind of like this whole mansion is basically that's what the purpose is. It's for Moro to be able to let all these spirits to cross over, and the main character just kind of comes in there. So there's this really interesting, well, not really interesting, kind of generic, I would actually say, relationship between the two of like, she wants to stay here because she wants to find the Book of the Dead versus this is literally like, he's been there forever, he's been helping these spirits cross over. So they make an arrangement of like, she basically kind of like takes care of everything and makes him food and that's just fine all of a sudden. Yeah, a little confusing. But basically I'm going to quickly go over the art. I really don't want to take too long in this video because there's really nothing that stands out to me. But right from the cover you can tell a very vibrant cover. And the actual manga, I would say that this manga relates closely to the manga, like the art style of Horimiya. So you've got one color page, and honestly, I will admit this chibi is really cute, but So the art style is very similar to Maya, just off of the first glance. I will give the artist a lot of credit in the sense that they do really well with these spirits. Like, I think that's probably my favorite thing about this series so far, or at least this first volume, has actually been how the spirits are kind of drawn. Because in terms of plot, there's not much going for them. But the spirits are definitely something that's interesting, and you can tell the difference between each one. But it does really give me, in terms of like how the main character's drawn, Maya feels and vibes to it. But yeah. So, like I said, I really don't want to take too long on this because it really wasn't something that made me feel like it really deserved a lot of time. So basically the series has been sitting on my shelf for about 6 months. I had somebody pick it out for me, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a whirl. And actually, honestly, what brought me in was this cover is beautiful. Like, all the art, the really vibrant shades, everything pops. Like, if you saw this, you'd automatically be kind of drawn in. And I really do actually like a lot of Japanese folklore and a lot of the spirit stuff, because I have literally written a novel and published a novel about some of the Japanese folklore stuff. So, like, that stuff was really interesting to me. So I was like, hey, I'll give it a shot. But overall, the story kind of fell flat. And generally, I do try to give a series like 2 volumes or maybe 3 to kind of catch up. But I feel like with this one, it's going to be pretty generic. It follows a similar like plot line. Like, literally, it's the Demon Prince of Momochi House without any romance. And the only thing that kept me with that one was the romance. So it's just kind of like, yeah, I can read about spirits, but I really don't want to also spend, because it's a 7 Seas title, it's going to be about $13 for this volume. So usually on a Viz title, I'm a little bit more lenient. If I pick up a series and I don't love it right away, I'm like, well, Viz Media is like $9.99. Kodansha's not that bad. But when I get to titles like 7 Seas, Yum Press, it gets a little bit where I kind of sit back and I start to think if it's actually worth it. Because, yeah, I mean, these are small volumes. They're filled with, I mean, I think this one was 5 chapters. The chapters weren't long by any means. But it just, like, I would rather pay, like, prime example, like $9.99 for a volume of Platinum Men, where the story's much better. It's basically the same size. So, overall, going through, for the story part of it, I kind of rank these things out of like 10. For the story part of it, I gave it a 6 out of 10 for this first volume. I found it was pretty lacking. Like I said, it was on my shelf for 6 months and nothing compelled me to read it. I tried to read it multiple times and there was just nothing. There was no hook, nothing to really like make you want to read it. Like, usually you want to come out really strong and hook your audience and give them something that they really want to look forward to. This was just kind of generic. Like, I knew where it was going to go. So it just really wasn't interesting to me. But like I said, if you're really a type of person who likes the folklore and if you like the spirit part of it, then this would definitely be for you. I just am not a huge fan of very one-dimensional feeling plots. And maybe if down the road this thing like all of a sudden just grew and became something amazing, then maybe I would revisit it. But the story is not my favorite. But in terms of artwork, I definitely rated it an 8 out of 10. Every scene drawn wasn't like sometimes you'll find in these manga series that the smaller panels, they kind of slack off in the art style. This was definitely not the case in this. Out of anything, I found that like the scenes with the spirits were especially my favorite. I would like contemplate buying the book just to have those scenes, because you can tell that the artist who did this really does like this folklore stuff. Like, it's very detailed and you can see the intention and the emotion behind everything. So for that, I really do have to like give credit to that, because the artwork was very pleasant. It's just a story. And then the last thing I kind of judged on was characters. I gave that a 5 out of 10, and I feel like I'm being pretty generous. The main character is like every other main character in a manga series with spirits. Like, she's like, oh, I'm afraid of everything. And then all of a sudden, like 2 chapters in, oh, maybe it's not so scary. And then there's no, like, we're not scared of anything anymore. It's just, and she's like, I want to help everyone. I don't know. It's a little bit too goody two-shoes for me. I like characters that are a little bit more developed, even from the first volume. Like, I try and give some leniency, but this is basically, if I had to like really slim it down, this is a high school girl that is in school, and she lives in a mansion full of spirits. Like, and there's no development, nothing, even in the first volume, which is why I gave it a 5 out of 10, and I feel like that's being generous. I probably would put it down more. There's just nothing I like about any of these characters except the cat. I like the cat because it doesn't speak, and it's white, and I just like cats. So, all in all, my opinions on this manga, from at least the first volume, is probably, like I said, unless you really like the spirits, skip it. I don't see it ever becoming a dark story. I don't see it ever really being transformed into something where there's a lot of plot and a lot of things like that. Like, I see this as being something that you would read if you like the spirits and if you like something with a lighter tone. So for me, and at least with my collection, is I do tend to nowadays go for more darker stuff, more type of horror. Like, I want characters that are messed up, and I want characters that have experienced pain and are experiencing pain, and seeing how they deal with it, unless I'm reading like a shoujo or a josei, which is like literally categorized as romance. But even then, it's kind of bad with like some of the romance I've read, even shoujo, the characters have more development within the first volume of just like the most boring stuff than this character. So there is that too. But, so for me, this is definitely a pass. I don't think I'll be getting the second volume. Maybe if I can find it online and buy it online where it's a little bit cheaper, I may do that, but there's really nothing that's making me want to continue to read it. So even though this is maybe not my type of story, I know it's probably a story that a lot of people would be interested in. So what I'll do in the description below is I will put probably 2 links to where you can buy it from the official website. Also, the link to where I buy some of my manga. And, I mean, give it a shot. Maybe get the first volume. If you've watched this review and you're just like, no, then hey, that's totally fine too. Everyone's allowed to like what they like, and nobody should really judge them for that. But I hope you guys enjoy this first video. It is my first impressions video, so I feel like it's pretty bad. But I do have a few more series I'd like to do to basically do a little bit of rundown. I'm planning a review for Nainki's first volume, a review for Love Me, Love Me Not, which is the shoujo series, the complete review for Happy Marriage, complete review for Dead Man Wonderland, complete review for Livingstone, and I guess if I find some other things to do, along with the typical monthly manga updates, I would really like to try to post 1 to 2 times a week, so that's what I'm kind of pushing for. And yeah, I mean, I bet I'll get better. I hope I get better. But I hope you guys like this video. As always, I love to read your guys' comments. I'm so shocked by the support I got on my last collection video. I never expected that, so thank you guys so much. It means a lot to me, and it really makes my day when I get to read comments. As stupid as that sounds, it makes me happy. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and I hope I see you next video. Bye!